What is going on YouTube? Welcome to a 1v1 game in between the Viper and the Capoch on Lipany. This is the first game I'm casting on the brand new patch that just dropped a couple of hours ago. It has its own issues, we'll talk about that briefly during this cast, but let's focus on the positives first. So, the Chinese dynasty indicator was moved to the bottom left over here, so it no longer blocks the center of the screen, and it's actually pretty nice and convenient, I must say, so I'm happy about that one. Other changes that will affect this game, we'll talk about that as we go deeper, as we'll have on the left side Capoch playing as red in the Rus, and on the right side we'll have Viper playing as the Chinese in blue. So, the map is Lipany, and the first thing that you might have already spotted is that the minimap was changed, so the size of these icons on the minimap were reduced quite heavily. You can see that the gold mines are pretty tiny. It's actually pretty difficult to distinguish them. This is a big gold mine and this is a small one, but you see that their icons do not differ that much. The bigger deal, I believe, is that the unit circles or dots became very, very tiny. So you see, you can actually check this out here still, but it takes some effort to find units, especially early on, simply because sometimes they just merge into the surroundings. You see, that's Viper Scout out there, the horn of that little deer icon, so it's a little difficult to spot units early on. Viper has one scout working, and you see he's trying to kill the deer. I'm not sure if the scout is just bugging out here, or Viper just forgot about it, but it's acting sort of weird, so there's a chance it just bugged out, I'm not so sure. Anyways, Viper is killing the huntables as he should because, as you would expect, Capoch is coming in with free scouts now, going for the huntables. Pretty standard stuff with the Rus, you're trying to collect your bounty. I actually like this new overlay now that we have the dynasty indicator over here, helps quite a lot. Although I'm not sure what exactly happens if we have two Chinese players whose POV it will show, because you see, it still shows the Chinese player's dynasty, despite the fact that I'm currently on the perspective of the Rus player. Looks like Viper is trying to yoink some sheep from the bottom of Capoch's scout. It's actually behind the scout, not the bottom. Why I said bottom? I don't know. Nonetheless, you got Capoch in here with quite a few deer kills, so he's already at 155 bounty. Pretty nice to start with. And at this point, Viper is just trying to yoink sheep, but Capoch should be more than happy to kill the deer here. Now you could be asking why he's not shooting the deer right now. And the answer is that the moment he shoots the deer, Viper is going to shoot it, and that way Capoch won't get the gold. So you see, Capoch is tempted to shoot it, but the moment he shoots it, Viper should shoot that as well, and looks like Capoch got the gold for this one, but that was the concept the whole time for Capoch. He can't shoot first, because if he does, then Viper is going to get the kill. The only reason why he could pull this kill off here is because Viper was kind of far away from the deer, and you see this is exactly what happens. Capoch shoots first, Viper shoots second, and it takes 2 shots to kill a deer, so Viper is going to take down that deer out there. We will have the Golden Gate coming in here for Capoch, pretty standard building for the Rus all around. Could be useful to play 2 Town Center Boom, but recently we have seen the emergence of the Fast Castle build from the Rus, because using that Golden Gate plus the hunting bonus that you get from the Rus, so the fact that you can start Feudal Age with free scouts already thanks to the fact that you could make them on the hunting cabin, plus the professional scouts and the survival techniques upgrade, you can just ferry in deer, have a very, very good food eco thanks to that food getter rate bonus that you're getting from the bounty system, and pretty much just buy the gold you need on the Golden Gate using your food. So you see, Capoch actually killed 2 more sheep because he was 10 gold short of the second bounty level, and 2 sheep gives you 10 gold that you need. And you see there is more scouts coming in, so it's gonna be an entire patch of deer ferried in, and then Capoch is just going to use that food and sell that on the Golden Gate, get the gold he needs, and get up to Castle Age. That's the pretty standard fast castle build of the Rus. Other side, Viper is playing with a mill. He's going for a wheelbarrow though, so no scout ferrying for him. Instead, he is aging up with the Barbican of the Sun. Looks like he's playing 1 Town Center, which is pretty uncommon with Chinese. Usually you're aiming towards that second Town Center no matter what. You can still make some army and just sort of slowly get the stone you need, but playing 1 Town Center with the Chinese is a little weird at minimum. Now let's talk about the balance changes while we are observing Capoch's scouts looking to take all the hunt here from Viper's side. So The Rus didn't really have any major balance changes, I believe. I did read the patch notes, but there was a lot of things, so I may have forgotten something. Small things like moving the Boyar's Fortitude upgrade from the stable to a blacksmith, and the Lodya attack ships were actually, or in general, the Lodya ships were changed or tweaked a little bit, but not anything major on land. Meanwhile, for the Chinese, we had a lot of interesting stuff coming in, and as you see Viper going into the Song Dynasty with the Imperial Academy, I would think that he's going to try out the new Jungenu. So, the Jungenu were changed quite heavily in this patch. Their overall HP has been reduced both for the standard version, but also for the veteran and the elite upgraded version, but their food cost was reduced like crazy. They used to cost something like 60 food and now it's 20 food, so Jungenu suddenly became a very very cheap archer type unit that Viper could use. So you see Jungenu right now, 20 food, 30 wood, 30 gold. That's actually pretty decent, to be honest. It's not necessarily an amazing price still, but it's way better than what it used to be. Imperial Academy up for Viper now, so all of his buildings nearby will generate more tax income. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there is not a single Imperial officer right now for Viper. That's surprising. By this time, you usually have an officer out so that you can supervise either your gold mine or your lumberjacking, or just your production building. So it's a little surprising that Viper hasn't used a single Imperial officer so far. Here come the new Jungenu. Whereas on the other side, as you see, Capoch is going for that fast castle, right? Yep, here it goes. He has 2 tickets on the Golden Gate. He is probably going to sell some of his wood, but potentially some of his food as well, although he doesn't need a lot of gold, so might as well keep those tickets for the future. But normally when you play this fast castle, you're a little low on gold. You spoil your villagers from gold. In fact, oftentimes you don't even mine gold with the Rus. You just take the bounty, get her food, and then get the gold using the Golden Gate. You can mine the gold, and if you do it like this, and you will have some extra gold to work with, you can actually buy some food. But sometimes you don't even see Rus players going for the gold mining. Just go for hunt, get an insane amount of food, and then sell it for gold. He's got a defensive tower on his wood line, so his lumberjacking is also being boosted, and he's ferrying in deer with 4 scouts right now. He's starting off with Viper's patch of deer, which I appreciate. This means that he can sort of delay ferrying in his own patch, as Viper is moving out to the Jungenu now. Defensive tower up for Capoch, and that houses 8 villagers for the Rus, which also helps protecting these villas. Normal outposts only host 5 villagers inside, so it's a little more difficult to protect 8 villagers on gold. That's one of the advantages of the wooden fortress, that you can fit more villagers inside, so you don't need 2 defensive towers to have everyone safe. 1 is sufficient. Looks like Viper now has an Imperial official out, and you see he is actually supervising the blacksmith. That's a smart idea, because this way he can accelerate his research on the blacksmith and then retask it whenever it's not needed anymore. Now it's going to start collecting tax income, which Viper has quite a lot of. It's 135 over here, 145 here, 133 over here. But for now, it looks like he's actually going to continue with more Jungenu, and he's already planning to go for rams. Meanwhile, on the other side, we do have Capoch coming in with the Abbey of Trinity. He's probably playing Cav Archers right now. And the Abbey of Trinity here for him with this fast castle is going to allow him to pick up relics. And that's going to have its effect. So the thing is that with this fast castle into Warrior Monks build, you can get yourself free pretty much 4 relics even, simply because it's very difficult for your opponent to kill your Warrior Monks. You can run away from combat, and you can even fight back if it's like 1 horseman or so trying to take you down. So it's difficult to take down those Warrior Monks, and that pretty much guarantees Capoch enough gold and enough map control, of course, to get the relics. Looks like Capoch has to relocate his villagers to the left side here to this gold mine because Viper is pushing his starting gold. Viper actually had a scout hidden in this stealth forest over here that's derping out like crazy upon the villagers trying to kill it. And now Capoch will have this gold mine safely, although it looks like he's retreating. That's probably because Viper saw those villagers. Viper had that scout hidden in that stealth forest. A very nice move from him. So now Capoch is a little low on gold. Probably not gonna be a big deal because he's got Cav Archers coming out, and we'll soon see how Cav Archers do against the Jungenu. By default, the Jungenu is a foot archer type unit, So it's supposed to beat horse archers, just like standard foot archers are meant to be able to defeat horse archers, but it also depends on the upgrades, of course. The good news for Capoch is that he doesn't need a lot of gold right now, because horse archers do not cost gold. So he's more than happy just taking food and wood, building up an army of cav archers and pushing out with it. Meanwhile, for Viper, it looks like he's going full feudal, just coming in with more and more Jungenu. Did destroy the tower in here, and now is working on the mining camp, and you see, Viper is looking for the vills. Viper is like, I saw the villagers on the left side, where are they? He's checking the stealth forest, but Viper has been misled over here, because the villagers went back home. And now the cav archers are moving out, they could easily intercept a couple of those Jungenu. And it looks like the cav archers will perform pretty nicely over here, although you see that Vol is actually eating those cav archers. I may change my opinion, because if you think about the fact that these are feudal age Jungenu, that's actually pretty impressive against Castle Age Cav Archers. In terms of price, the two units are somewhat similar. 80 food, 40 wood for the Cav Archer, 20 food, 30 wood, 30 gold for the Jungenu, so I would say that's relatively even. Now, Capoch, he is at 370 gold. He could actually get a couple of warrior monks out and start picking up relics, something that he has not started doing just yet. And now we'll see what the Jungenu can do here. The numbers are relatively even, and it looks like the trades will also be kind of even. Cav archers probably would win this fight if the reinforcements wouldn't come in, but remember, this is just feudal age units. If these guys were actually castle age, so veteran Jungenu, they would just shred the cav archers. So the thing is that foot archers by default are supposed to be able to beat cav archers, simply because they are meant to be much more easily massed than the cav archers. So I actually like this for Viper. I'm not necessarily saying that the Jungenu are overpowered right now. I don't think that we have seen enough of this to conclude that it's overpowered, because some people might say, look, feudal age Jungenu just annihilating all those cav archers, but this is technically a soft counter even before the patch to the cav archers. So if your opponent is going cav archers and you're taking straight up engagements, then foot archers actually perform pretty well. And Jungenu is actually a foot archer type unit, not a crossbow type unit. Despite the fact that it says repeater crossbow, it doesn't have an attack boost against armored units. So this is basically an archer that fires very fast, not a crossbowman, if you look at the unit's tier. Looks like cav archers might be moving out to the right side, as we could see Capoch trying to take that boar down. That would give him 75 gold for his bounty, but instead he's moving in to the right side, where Viper's got quite a lot of villagers on berries, ready to be killed. 2 Rams now in here, though, from Viper, and he's going to start pushing the Abbey of Trinity. There is going to be a warrior monk coming out, and there's a relic inside, so you could pop that relic out, try to get a conversion, but that would be difficult. Cav archers moving in, though, from Capoch. That's a beautiful counterattack. Not a whole lot of cav archers, so not all the villagers will go down, but still, very, very nice raid over here. That's minus 3 vills. Could have been more if Capoch pursues. Meanwhile, on the other side, Abbey of the Trinity is going down. The warrior monk had a short life over here. Just got massacred. Is there any mangonels coming out? Nope. But we got men-at-arms. So you will soon see that those Jungenu will struggle against heavy units just like standard archers do. I actually like the men-at-arms edition here by Capoch. Knights could have worked too, but the men-at-arms will perform pretty nicely here as well. Abbey of the Trinity will be destroyed here temporarily, but not something horrible for Capoch. I like this cav archer on the left side. This could harass those lumberjacks quite a bit. Viper is still in feudal age, pushing in here as the Abbey of the Trinity is about to burn down, also dropping off the relic that's inside. There is also warrior monk, so I wonder if Capoch will try to get a conversion on the Jungenu. Now that's gonna be extremely difficult because they can just snipe that warrior monk in a moment. But yeah, I think he was thinking about that. Just absorb the arrow fire with the swordsman and then try to get the conversion with the monk, but that's not how it works. Viper is just going to snipe that monk. And you see, men-at-arms will force the Jungenu back, and now the villagers can get rid of that battering ram. The hunting cabin is gonna go down, and honestly, Capoch needs to pull villagers to destroy these, because he doesn't want to lose that tower that's boosting his wood income. Still, men-at-arms are pursuing the Jungenu now, Viper turning back and fighting. But, as you see, even with the repeater crossbows, the damage that they do to heavily armored units is not necessarily amazing. The good news for Viper is that he's got a lot of these bad boys, so the main reason why Viper could potentially win a fight here is not because his units are meant to be able to destroy men-at-arms, it's because he's got a whopping 33 Jungenu on the battlefield, and on the other side it's only 7 men-at-arms and 4 archers. Looks like the tower is gone for Capoch, so far from ideal, but he manages to stall this push out, and he's going to have 2 relics if he picks that up. Potentially free, and honestly, nothing prevents him from picking up an additional couple. Nice move here by Capoch, gets some villager kills on the lumberjacks, as Viper is going up to Castle Age using the astronomical clock tower. Remember that Viper was in the Song dynasty for some time, which means... is that actually... That has to be a bug. You see that if I switch to Capoch's POV, it says Tang Dynasty. The reason why is because that's the starting dynasty, and of course, it's irrelevant for Capoch because he's not playing Chinese, so that's how it works. If we're in Viper's POV, it says Song because Viper's in Song Dynasty, and for Capoch, it says Tang Dynasty simply because he hasn't advanced into the next dynasty, something that he can't even do with his civilization, so it's always gonna say Tang for him. Viper is up, and now the veteran Jungenu are out. You see that they are absolutely shredding all the archers. Against the men-at-arms, they do quite a lot of damage if you have a huge mass like this. But still, if this was relatively even numbers or even resources, I don't think that the Jungenu would stand a chance. Viper going in with the astronomical clock tower, he could get some Nest of Bees out, which also received a change in this new balance patch. Their minimum range was increased, so you have to be further away from the Jungenu with your unit, or the Nest of Bees with your units, in order for the Nest of Bees to be able to shoot at it. I love how Viper pulled a villager to try and heal this mill up here. So there were some small changes to the Nest of Bees out here. Currently Viper's at 56 villagers, that's the Song Dynasty villager production boost. So he's at 57. 49 only for Capoch. So Viper does have the villager lead as he's pushing up with the Jungenu. He's about to take a shot on this man. I'm just curious how much HP this guy loses. He loses like 40 or so on a single volley from 34 Jungenu, so not a whole lot as you see. Now, against the archers, those Jungenu will perform really well, I do believe. But the key unit here for Capoch would be a couple of knights, I believe. A couple of knights supported by archers would work pretty nicely, as Viper is actually doing a pretty decent job microing. There is 5 range on those archers, only 4.5 range for the Jungenu, so they fire faster but they have a shorter range, which actually is a problem for Viper, especially if he's being pursued by men-at-arms. Because the men-at-arms will soak up the damage, and as Viper is retreating, he isn't able to shoot Capoch's archers because those are outside of his range. 3 relics already in here for Capoch, as he is... is he looking to bring in some more? I don't see any more relics on the map aside from this one, so there should be a 4th one coming in soon. Men-at-arms once again doing a harassment, and I wonder if Viper actually accidentally double-clicked his villagers here, because I'm not sure that he wanted to fight 4 men-at-arms with like 20 vills. The vills might actually win, but that would be so many losses. Now Springgold is out, Jungenu are pursuing this, and it looks like Viper is just playing the full Jungenu dream. As I said, these guys received a massive reduction to their food costs, so I guess Viper is also interested in how they perform, but you see that they're still not amazing against heavy units. These guys might be really scary against light units though, like archers, horsemen, so you really need something that's heavily armored. The reason why this could be interesting is because those civilizations that don't have men-at-arms or knights in Feudal Age could actually struggle against a flood of Jungenu, because these guys are rather cheap. You can flood them if you get your Imperial Officer to supervise your training. You see, it's only 5 seconds if it's being supervised. It's 15 by default, but 5 seconds if being supervised by the Imperial Officer. So you can train them pretty fast, they're not super expensive, and they have a lot of firepower, especially against the light units. There is the Nest of Bees here by Mr. Viper. So you see that they have 8 tiles range, but the minimum range is 3 tiles. So Viper, you see that little arc out there? If the men-at-arms get closer, it can't shoot. That's it. This guy cannot shoot the ones in front. Nest of Bees actually getting some nice hits in, but Capoch is moving in with the Men-at-Arms. Most of the Springolds and Nest of Bees are going down, and Capoch is pushing on here, ladies and gentlemen. Couple more Jungenu coming in here for Viper. It's pretty difficult for Capoch to snipe that Imperial Officer off, but if he could actually pull it off with his archers, snipe the officer, that would help so much, reducing that flood of Jungenu. Look at that. 5 seconds training time for these bad boys. Meanwhile, by the way, we do have 3 relics for Capoch in here, and there's a monastery coming in, so I'm assuming that he's going to pick up the remaining relics here as well. As I said, this is the power of this fast castle build for the Rus. You can just bring those relics in, and you will have a pretty decent amount of gold income. You're almost guaranteed to have like 3, 4, potentially 5 relics even. Nest of Bees getting some nice hits in, as now the Men-at-Arms will try to rush it down. Villager might actually come in to repair, but I think this guy is gonna go down. Many of those Men-at-Arms are weak, but yeah, the Nest of Bees actually dies in the battle. Looks like Viper is now adding Lancers to his army composition. That should work pretty nicely over here, because you do have Men-at-Arms and Archers to fight against. Lancers are pretty good against both. Barbican of the Sun also will help clean these up, as Viper had to retreat to his town center. First Lancers popping out in this very moment. Capoch now knows that there is Lancers coming, so he can react to this one. But this army is in the legitimate danger of getting destroyed. The first couple of Lancers will be picked off by the Springolds, but once Viper has like 6, 7, or 8, he can jump this one pretty easily. He's still Song Dynasty, as he's playing with 2 town centers now. At some point, he's going to go Yuan, because that would give him movement speed to his army, plus the granary as well is very nice for food gathering, but the movement speed is what you really want to get. Meanwhile, on the other side, as I said, Capoch is at 63 villagers as opposed to Viper's 70, but Capoch in exchange has 3 relics working for him, and this one is just a matter of time for him to pick up, I believe. If you look at the income per minute, Capoch actually has a way better gold income, pretty much even wood income, and slightly better food income than Viper, plus of course stone as well for Capoch. Jungenu still holding on for the time being for Viper. He does have the attack upgrades on his Jungenu, as the Springolds are now setting up. Meanwhile, look at that. That's beautiful from Capoch. 2 Cav Archers on top of this little hill actually help a lot, denying those wood lines. That's such a nice thing. Viper has some Jungenu moving in on the left side. I'm not sure if they killed any villagers over here, but it's possible that they did. Yeah, the berries definitely were being consumed, so I assume Viper hit that, and he got a couple of will kills. Viper is going pretty heavy on stone himself, so does Mr. Capoch. He now has 4 relics working for him, and it looks like we're seeing more and more Springolds hitting the field. Archers, Men-at-Arms getting out. Nest of Bees will get some nice shots in, but you see that the Springolds for Capoch are about to snipe them down. Looking at the resources, no one is close to Imperial Age, and I wonder if Capoch is thinking about a forward keep here. Because the thing is that this choke point is pretty vital on the map. Oh, even better, look at this. This keep is on a hilltop, giving you a lot of vision. Very, very nicely defendable hill position over here, overlooking this entire area. And the thing is that if you look at the hill positioning on this map, there is one massive hill in front of Viper's base. So if Capoch gets something like a castle here, and a castle here, he can pretty much control 70% of the map, including the sacred sites. His Jungenu are still around, by the way, so Capoch will need to clean them up at some point. He does have all upgrades except for the melee attack upgrade from the Castle Age. You see, this is what I was referring to at the beginning of the cast. Boyar's Fortitude, this upgrade was available on the stable previously. Now it has been moved to the blacksmith. Here comes Capoch, and his Men-at-Arms will eat quite a lot of damage from those Nest of Bees. But still, once they get close, it won't be able to shoot again. That's actually a pretty nice volley though from Viper. He doesn't get another volley out, so the archers will survive this engagement. The Springolds are actually focusing down the Springolds of Capoch. Viper coming in with an emergency castle over here. A lot of archers are very, very weak over here, so if the Men-at-Arms disappear, I think Viper can actually push this one back. Viper will lose a couple of villagers in this fight, but the Men-at-Arms are now disappearing from the battle, and suddenly this could swing back in the favor of Viper. There is the keep up, and now the Springolds will be able to destroy those rams as the Lancers force the archers back. Not an easy hold here for Viper, but he manages to pull that off. Capoch tried to push this TC with Rams, but he wasn't expecting maybe this many Spring Oats from Viper or this many Jungenu. It's hard to tell, but he wasn't expecting such a big army from Viper, I believe. Meanwhile, we do have more men-at-arms coming in for Mr. Capoch. Still sitting on 4 relics, which obviously helps a lot. Look at that gold income. Remember that Capoch has majority map control, so Viper is really low on gold right now because both major gold mines on this map, this one and this one, are under the control of Capoch. So Viper basically has this one to take, which is being guarded by a couple of horse archers, and this one, which is almost depleted. So Viper is on a timer here. By the way, if these horse archers just move up a couple of tiles, Viper will lose 5, 6, 7 villagers before he cleans that up. So that's a very nice touch there by Capoch. So next step for Viper, he needs to get rid of this castle somehow, but it's going to be difficult in Castle Age. Although trebuchets could work very nicely. I wonder if we're seeing something like that from Viper. Nope, just Spring Oats for the time being, as Capoch is moving out for his second town center so far. We do have a market for him, but he hasn't added any trade cards, so this is just for eco-balancing, as Capoch already has 2 sacred sites, and honestly, nothing prevents him from taking the third one, so it's more than possible for him to do that. Looks like Viper is moving through, and he could really use this stealth forest to his advantage here. He could ambush any units crossing, and this could be pretty nice. In general, the stealth forest is pretty vital. It's right in between the 2 players in this low valley. Looks like Viper is heading towards the base of Capoch, though. We'll intercept some reinforcements, but the real jackpot is over here. That is 41 villagers on that wood line. If he finds like 5, 6, 7, 8 kills out there, that's already pretty impressive. Looks like all the forces of Viper will move in through the sacred site, though. Might intercept that warrior monk, Ripperino, as Viper actually gets an outpost up in the middle. So he's going to start getting some vision around this area. And here come the Jungenu. Capoch pulled all the villagers from the wood line somewhere else. They're rushing out to the right side to make a TC. And just make sure you don't get picked off by the Jungenu. Meanwhile, for Capoch, he's still floating a lot of gold, now has a forward barracks, so he's relocating his production over here. No trebuchets just yet from either side, as Viper is moving in to neutralize the sacred site. Also plans to drop a keep in the middle, so he wants to prevent Capoch from potentially taking all 3 of those sacred sites. Oh, look at that. Viper cancels the keep and relocates it to an even ballsier position. Now that is what I call crazy. That's a crazy castle, and if it goes up, then Capoch is in trouble. It's very risky for Viper, obviously, but it actually has a legitimate chance of going up, because currently Capoch is at 65 army, but most of that is either here on the right side, or some parts are at the back. Viper has 50 army only, but if he sends all of his forces this way, by the time reinforcements arrive for Capoch, it could be too late. Capoch got some cav archers and foot archers moving in here, though, so Viper had to relocate his lumberjacks here to the south. Keep is getting close to going up. Springolds won't take shots on the villagers, so it is going up, and this one is also going up. Look at this. I think Capoch might pop out a relic and try to convert the villagers on the building, but that's not gonna happen. The Jungenu will snipe the warrior monk. I feel like a conversion was the plan here by Capoch. Currently 91 villagers for Mr. Viper, and Capoch is sitting at 89, so dead even economies. Second keep up for Capoch here. Viper's got this keep for him, and now it looks like we're in for a ram push. So this is where things get interesting, because all 3 landmarks of Capoch are right here, so it doesn't matter that he has 2 sacred sites, doesn't matter that he's raiding Viper. If these 3 landmarks, the Abbey of the Trinity, the town center, and this golden gate goes down, Capoch loses the game. So he has to be careful here. Also 5 relics garrisoned inside, and knowing Viper, Viper will try to yoink those relics. Now, Capoch is looking to intercept some reinforcements here, currently missing boiling oil on that keep, so those men-at-arms, if they get close, they could actually do quite a lot of damage to that castle before they get taken down. Looks like Capoch is thinking about a counterattack here, though, as he is going to get quite a lot of villager kills here on Viper's eco. Viper's reaction here was a tiny bit too slow. There's a couple of villagers going down over here. Meanwhile, though, Viper is taking down the monastery, and now the Abbey of the Trinity is next. I really feel like Capoch is underestimating the importance of this push here. Viper did lose some eco, but I mean, he is still at a pretty decent 88 economy. But the big deal is that he's pushing Capoch like there is no tomorrow. Now, Springolds are out here for Capoch. He's got 4 of them, so he could try to snipe the Rams. The Abbey of the Trinity is still standing. Viper could really use 2 or 3 more Rams. If he had like 5 Rams here, he could steamroll this one any moment. Or even a Trebuchet could work very nicely. Just finish the game like that. Capoch has no boiling oil on his castles either, but he's got a Springald emplacement on this one, as all the Springolds are rolling back, so Capoch needs to dive in and snipe those Springolds first, and then come in, destroy the Rams. Looks like the Abbey of the Trinity might go down, but I think that now those Rams are just dead. Look at that, Springolds will set up, get a volley out, and the Rams could go down. Looks like the Men-at-Arms are also coming in to pursue. As I said, no boiling oil still on those keeps, so it's going to be a little more difficult for Viper to clean up those Men-at-Arms. Still, a lot of Springolds out, and the Springolds were able to get some nice shots on the Men-at-Arms. Viper, another castle coming in through the middle, but now everything that Capoch has is over here, and that is looking like a castle that's going to get denied. Lord Doubt smile upon us. That's going to be quite a lot of dead villagers for Viper. He looks like he's going to be able to clean up the Men-at-Arms on this side with a monk supporting to heal his Jungenu. And actually, Viper's got quite a lot of firepower coming from this keep, so he is taking down those archers, and this castle is actually going up for Viper. It very much seemed like he isn't going to be able to get it up, but it does go up. Viper at 85 eco right now, 39 army, whereas for Capoch, it's only 17 army, but slightly more eco. Looks like the Abbey of the Trinity will be repaired. All the relics are now ejected. And I don't see Viper yoinking any relic, but I might be wrong on that, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that, as Viper is getting some scouts out. This is something that he loves to do against Springolds. And in general, we are seeing more and more players doing this, going for scouts, cheap throwaway units that are possessing a pretty decent torch damage, so they can just dive in, snipe Springolds, and it doesn't really matter that you lose them because they're so cheap. Keep in mind that Capoch has a couple of Men-at-Arms here still raiding Viper, as Viper is gonna have to divert some forces to clean this up. Capoch has a pretty decent eco going for him, by the way. 1 TC on the left side with quite a lot of farming eco, 1 on the right side. So in general, Capoch still has more map control, I believe, and Capoch also has slightly better farming economy. Let's take a look at the resource income. Yeah, Viper actually has a better food economy. Capoch is at 34 on food, Viper is at 37. But everything else is in the favor of Capoch. Now, Viper did yoink 1 relic away, and he's bringing in the second one. Can he take it before? Nope. Nope. The town center was garrisoned, and you see, Viper is trying to yoink those relics. He knows exactly that 5 relics in the hands of Capoch would be brutal, especially if you consider the fact that he also has 2 sacred sites. Here comes the big ram push, though. There is 1 keep on the left side without boiling oil, and there isn't really much from Capoch to destroy these rams with on the left side. All the Springolds are on the right, so Capoch will have to relocate his Springolds, trying to hit those rams. Here come the Men-at-Arms, and quite a lot of villagers coming in as well. But the Jungenu actually will make quick work of those villagers if the Men-at-Arms do go down. Some Lancers will be mixed in here by Viper soon with that stable. It looks like he's calling a retreat for the time being as the Springolds do roll up, but he's just waiting for the opportunity to jump on them with his scouts. Another stable on the way. Viper yoink 1 relic for the time being. Meanwhile, looks like Capoch is trickling in Men-at-Arms into Viper's economy, and now Viper also has to be mindful about the fact that his villagers are being shot at by Springolds from that keep, so soon Viper is gonna be cut off from that wood line. That's just so annoying for Viper. He's getting raided so heavily all around. These Cav archers are still in here, but the bigger deal, as I said, is this keep just denying this wood line as it is. Now, Viper could move up elsewhere, and it looks like he's doing that. So there is an option. This one isn't really an option right now, but there's a lot of options for Viper to work with. That's probably the best one he has, indeed. Here comes the ram push, and as I said, now it's about the scouts, now it's about the Lancers to dive in and snipe those Springolds. Springolds will get some shots in, as we are down to 3 rams. Viper is trying to jump on the Springolds, and he actually gets maybe one. The problem with the scouts here is that they are very fragile, so you see a Lancer is 230 HP, a scout is 110, so it's actually very, very difficult to get the Springolds killed with your scouts if the enemy has a lot of escort units nearby. Now, there is boiling oil on that keep now, so Viper has to be very careful going close to it. He actually slaughtered all the villagers that were repairing the keep, so while the Metarms were distracted, the Jungenu were feasting on those vills. Looks like Capoch will pull all the villagers he has, trying to keep that keep alive, as all the rams do go down, so looks like Capoch is holding this one for a time being. Another attempt to snipe those siege weapons will come in from Viper. He's got more and more Lancers mixed in though, and the Lancers are much sturdier than the Scouts are, so it's possible he can snipe maybe one, but looks like Capoch is pulling the villagers for repairs. This is not gonna happen for Viper, and Capoch keeps all those Springolds alive. Still castle age for both players, as I already see a trap coming out for Viper, so he continues to shell that castle. Behind this one, as I said, those Springold emplacements are just shredding Viper's economy. Viper's at 101 villagers, Capoch is at 96, dead even in that regard for both. Capoch currently has no relics garrisoned, and Viper has one. Two traps now. Taking some shots on the castle as both players are getting close to Imperial, I believe. Yeah, Viper's got quite a lot of wood to work with, quite low on gold. Capoch is pretty much out of food. Meanwhile, we're gonna have some horsemen coming in, and this is the moment where we have to talk about the fact that horsemen were also changed. So they did receive extra pierce armor, which is, I think, a nice buff to them. And I was supporting that idea, because I do believe that they were a little underwhelming against archers early game. On the other hand, they received HP nerf, which also makes some sense, because in post-aim they're really powerful. The problem with them right now is that the HP nerf only makes sense if Springolds are changed as well. Because the Horsemen are supposed to be your best or most cost-efficient unit at sniping Springolds, and the direct HP nerf actually hurts them, because the pierce armor is somewhat irrelevant when you are running towards men-at-arms or pikemen trying to snipe siege weapons. You see, in this situation, it doesn't matter that I have one extra pierce armor if the men-at-arms will slaughter all my horsemen. Looks like Capoch is bringing the relics back in here. Sort of a suicide effort by this warrior monk, because the keep can just shoot it down. But he's got one relic working for him. Capoch is also securing the left-hand side here with a keep to deny that gold mine, moving in with some horsemen to make sure that Viper can't take that. The other big gold mine is also in the hands of Capoch, so Viper doesn't have a lot of gold to work with in the long run. You see, this gold mine has 2,000 gold left on it, and that's basically all that Viper has right now. By the way, there was a wolf here that has been killing a villager for a long time. It will be assisted by a couple of now crossbowmen. So Viper is mixing things up. Not only Jungenu are in now, he's got some crossbows, and the crossbows will perform a lot better against the men-at-arms than the Jungenu did. Meanwhile, Springolds are now moving out with the intention to snipe the trebs. I do believe that one trebuchet was sniped, as Viper is assembling another push in the middle. 4 battering rams coming in, but he will need something that snipes those Springolds first, as the Springolds will get rid of that trebuchet, so the castle is kept alive. Meanwhile, horsemen, or actually these are scouts from Viper. These can be nice to set things on fire. You see, they have an insane torch damage if you think about that. These are very, very cheap units, 60 food apiece. And they actually destroy this hunting cabin so fast. They're not so great when it comes to killing anything else, but they're very good at setting things on fire. Looks like, once again, Viper attempts to dive in on the Springolds. That will be a failure for now. Where did the rams go? Did they also get slaughtered? Seems like it. They're nowhere to be found. I might have missed the battle over there. Apologies for that. Meanwhile, Jungenu are coming in. No, these are the rams. These are the rams. As I said, it's a little difficult to spot things on a minimap when you have so little dots. It's much harder to spot these little raiding parties that are coming in from Viper, harassing Capoch. But the big deal is this side. Viper realized it very nicely that he's not able to break through the middle here, but Capoch's forces are pretty much all in defending the middle. So you can pull all the rams to this side, get rid of these two keeps, and suddenly contest both of the sacred sites on the right side, plus take control over this major gold mine, and potentially even open up the food economy of Capoch on the right side. Trebuchets are now coming out. For Capoch, he wants to take these keeps down himself. Currently sitting at 78 villagers and 58 army. It's a lot of villagers lost by Capoch, actually. You see, he had a lot of villagers on the gold and the berries over here, plus quite a lot were lost on the farming eco as well. And if you think about the fact that Viper is about to push this food line, Capoch's villager count could actually collapse pretty fast. So many things going on at the same time. Viper is swooping in with scouts, units that are not meant to do a whole lot of damage, but they're disgustingly cheap. So it actually makes some sense for Viper to pop some of these out, simply because even if the villagers run away, they can set the mining camp on fire, and they basically cost nothing. Horseman in for Capoch as he's trying to jump on the Jungenu. I think the TC might go down here to free Rams, unless there is villagers repairing it, especially if the men-at-arms are focusing the Jungenu. But right now, Capoch is on the back foot now, because that TC is about to go down. If it goes down, pretty much this entire eco is exposed for him, and indeed, Town Center goes down, as Capoch will be forced to mass migrate. Look at the left side, Horseman and the Lancer now in to kill villagers, and Capoch's villager count is dropping. It's down to 79, and it's going to drop even more when those Jungenus start marching to the left. Capoch loses the keep over here, and all his raiding forces pretty much get cleaned up. Now it's Viper all over the game. Viper secures that sacred site, and now we're seeing those Jungenus starting to march up towards the base of Capoch. Capoch will relocate all his lumberjacks to the left side, as he's about to take down the first keep of Viper. But I do believe that now Viper is going to play map control game, because there's a big gold mine here that's going to be crucial for both of these players. All the farming eco for Capoch has to be relocated, so his food eco won't be amazing for some time. He's still at 42 villagers on food, but I think some of them are simply farmers that have been pulled from the farms and sent to berries, so this is not pure 42 farmers. They will soon need some more farms being dropped. Viper comes in on the left side, takes down all the villagers on the gold, will probably take down the keep as well, securing that other pretty much depleted gold mine for him, although it still has 3.3k gold. Isn't actually as depleted as I thought it would be. This one is actually being taken by Viper. Ooh, this is way more gold than I anticipated there would be, so this actually gives 10k gold for Viper. Capoch is in trouble, not only because he's on the back foot and he's getting raided like crazy. The big deal is that he's completely going to be starved out of gold at some point, simply because Viper is now sitting on a huge amount of gold. Now, as I said, this would be the time for Viper to get Yuan Dynasty if he doesn't want to go to Imp, but I still believe that Imperial Age is a better power spike than Yuan Dynasty, especially because he wants to go for the Jungenu, and if he wants to go for the Jungenu, then he needs to stay in the Song Dynasty or get the Spirit Way landmark in Imperial Age to be able to go for them. Looks like Viper is swooping in with the Lancers. They get one volley of torches out, a second goes out as well, one trap goes down. Viper is repairing the castle with a couple of villagers. Looks like the second trebuchet will stay alive for the time being, but Viper is going for the second sacred site over here on the left side, as Capoch is pretty much running out of map control. Looking at this one, 75 villagers, 44 army, but the right side is devastated, and the left side is pretty much where Capoch has everything. Viper, I believe that he is going up, and he's going up with the Spirit Way. So now he can go Yuan Dynasty if he wants to, and he's actually got the resources for it. Or pretty much he had. So he just consumed some of his food, but if he goes back up to 1200 food, he could get Yuan Dynasty and Imperial Age with the Spirit Way. So he could keep making Jungenu, but also get the movement speed bonus of the Yuan Dynasty you see over here. Because the Spirit Way allows you to continue creating the units that you got from previously achieved dynasties. So Viper is up to Imperial, and Capoch is nowhere close. He has actually managed to rebuild the Abbey of Trinity, but that's basically it. Wouldn't be surprised to see Capoch tapping out, to be honest, and there it is. There it is. He probably knows that, look, I'm up against Imperial Age, I'm on the back foot, no gold income, what can I do? Just tap out. Jungenu performed pretty well here for Viper, but the difference maker, I believe, was the momentum and the way that he could isolate Capoch's army inside his base. Looks like the new feature that we were told to have, which is that you can watch the map after a game has ended is not something that's available for spectating. So, well, tough luck for us, I believe. Anyways, very nice game over here by Mr. Viper and Capoch. So, Chinese didn't receive many major changes in the balance patch. They got some small stuff, because I would probably call the Jungenu stuff rather small. It actually made the Jungenu a much more relevant unit than what it was. The Urus didn't really get any major land-based balance changes in the winter patch so far. But yeah, the Jungenu became much more relevant, I do believe, and it's going to be interesting to see how players will incorporate them into their build orders.